Hi guys, it's Jess from Honest Fiction and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be reacting to your unpopular bookish opinions. Alright guys, so a few weeks ago I asked over on Instagram in my stories for you to tell me your unpopular bookish opinions, and I got so many responses, so I'm going to be reacting to them. Do I agree? Do I disagree? I will say, I got a lot, like more than half of the responses were Sarah J. Maas related, like ACOTAR, Crescent City, or Throne of Glass. So I'm going to do a complete Sarah Maas section at the end of this video. I will leave timestamps down below if you just want to skip to that part. But yeah, this should be really fun. Now, if you're unfamiliar with my channel, I post new videos every Thursday and Sunday. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. You can also hit the notification bell to be notified whenever I post new bookish content. You can also check out my Instagram and Goodreads, both linked down below. With all out of the way, let's get into the responses. Alright guys, so this is going to be a very chill video. I have all of the responses on my laptop. I did try to sort them a little bit, but I also didn't completely read the responses because I still want to be surprised. So I'm going to start off with bookish unpopular opinions that are directed towards a certain book. So, first up, we have, I hate the Addicted series. I find it annoying. And then someone else said, Krista and Becca Ritchie books are overrated. So I can't really agree or disagree with this because I've never read the Addicted series. I know it gets a lot of mixed reviews. That series is long, and I feel like I never will end up picking it up. So sorry about that. I don't really have an opinion, but I have heard very, very mixed things about that series. All right, next up is, I didn't love the Love Hypothesis. I do think the Love Hypothesis was a little bit overhyped. I thought it was good. I just didn't think it really deserved like all of the hype it got, but it was still a really solid read. Like, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I think I got that recommendation from TikTok, and TikTok books are really hit or miss with me. All right, next up we have The Cruel Prince was boring, and I didn't believe the romance, not worth the hype. I completely agree with you. I did not like the Cruel Prince series. I know a lot of people really enjoyed it. Cruel Prince was okay. The second book I did really like. I really liked where the story was going. That third book, Queen of Nothing, I despise. It is probably one of my least favorite books ever written. It was just a terrible way to end a series. So I agree. I did not like the Cruel Prince series. All right, and ooh, this next one hurts. Okay, I didn't like the Six of Crows duology. I don't agree with you. I love that duology. It's one of my favorites. I actually like the Six of Crows duology more than I liked Shadow and Bone. But I can see, I'm sure, obviously, reading subjective, a lot of people not liking it. I just think the whole found family and the heist, and it's just, I love Kaz Brekker. He's one of my favorites. So I really, really enjoyed the Six of Crows duology. Rhapsodic doesn't get as much hype. I definitely think it's better than other popular fantasy books. Disagree. I loved Rhapsodic, actually. That's a lie. If you're talking about just the first book, I did very much enjoy Rhapsodic. I didn't like the next two. I feel like the second book, the writing really suffered, and I didn't like the way some side characters were written. And also, I listened to the second book via audio, and maybe the audio narrator just didn't do a great job. But I didn't end up enjoying the rest of that series. I think I DNF'd the third book in the Rhapsodic series. So, sorry about that. But I know a lot of people do really enjoy it. All right, and let's see. Are there any other ones just about books? Oh, okay. I was looking forward to the scene in War of Two Queens. I don't know why so many people hated it. I agree with you. I feel like that scene was hinted at for all of the books, so it wasn't a huge surprise when it happened. I feel like she told us it was going to happen, and I was totally fine with that scene. So yes, and I think that is an unpopular opinion. A lot of people do not like that scene. And one more. So Book Lovers by Emily Henry was honestly one of the most boring things I've ever read. I kind of agree with you. So compared to Beach Read and then People We Meet on Vacation, I did find Book Lovers a little bit boring. I just didn't like the romance as much. It has like a small town feel, and then also the way the characters talk reminded me a lot of Gilmore Girls, and I don't know, I just didn't feel as connected to that book as I did with like Beach Read, where I was completely sobbing while reading that book. So yes, I kind of agree, Book Lovers was a little bit boring. Next up, we have Insta-Love is just fine if the smut is good enough. I 100% would have said I disagree with you. However, I just read My Killer Vacation, by Tessa Bailey, and it is so insta-lust, but the steam is really good, and I actually really enjoyed that book. I don't love Tessa Bailey's writing, but I will say she writes really good, like, spicy scenes, and I'm gonna agree, because I really enjoyed that book, and it was definitely insta-lust, so agree. All right, next up. Fantasy books with male main characters are more interesting than female main characters, and they ended this with sorry. I disagree. I feel like I've read a ton of fantasy books with a female MC, and I've really enjoyed it. Mistborn being one by Brandon Sanderson. Vin is like awesome female character, and then Akatar, obviously like Farah, and I don't know. I think that's just like a personal preference. And next up, ooh, okay, this is interesting. A lot of books get more hype than they deserve, and she talks about Coho, but I'm going to do like a whole separate Coho thing. And TikTok books aren't always as good as they're hyped up to be. So this I agree with. I feel like TikTok is kind of like hyping up books that were popular a long time ago or a few years ago, and it's just I don't know. TikTok used to be giving me good recommendations, and recently I haven't really gotten any good ones from TikTok. I've been using Bookstagram a lot more. I feel like Bookstagram you can get some like really good recs from. But I kind of agree. TikTok hasn't been killing it with recommendations. All right, so this next one's good. Book boxes should be book only because most have useless stuff. So I agree with this. I think that most subscriptions or book subscriptions should have a book only option. Personally, I have a few different book subscription boxes. I do Book of the Month. I keep skipping that. They haven't been great recently. And then Fairy Loot. So I have Adult Fairy Loot, and that is book only, and that is great. That is all I really need. But then I also have the YA Fairy Loot, the full box, and that has a bunch of stuff in it. Luckily, I have these shelves behind me that I like to decorate. So like all of these pictures and like all of the little trinkets behind me are from that YA Fairy Loot box. I really don't buy anything for my shelves anymore. So I use it, but I also do get a bunch of useless stuff. Like I get tape for journaling. I don't journal. So I agree. I think that most subscriptions should have a book only option. All right, so next up is unpopular bookish habits. These are fun. So the first one is I love to highlight, write in, and dog ear my books. I am right there with you. So most of the time I listen to books via audio, so I really don't have that issue, or I'm reading them on my Kindle. However, when I'm doing recap videos and I have to like go through and actually like annotate books, I 100%. There's highlights all through Crescent City for when I had to do a Crescent City recap, and then I write in the margins all the time. And like I do own bookmarks, but most of the time they're like pretty and I display them, and I never like think to reach for them. I just, since I was a kid, I always dog-eared. All right, this one, I don't know about you. So it says, I don't care if my copies in a series match. This is such a personal preference. Personally, for me, I hate when they don't match. It drives me insane. Maybe I'll put a clip somewhere. My Mariana Zapata books, they are all different sizes, and it drives me crazy. And it's not even a series, so I really shouldn't be that upset about it. But I also have, there's another fantasy series I have that the books from the same series are not the same size. And yeah, that drives me crazy. I want them all to like be perfectly uniform. Another thing, sometimes the authors will like switch up the way they do their titles, and that drives me absolutely bonkers. So yeah, I disagree. I want my series to match. All right, this person said, I double and triple stack my books on my bookshelves. I do the same thing. My library isn't very big. This is my office. So I have a bookshelf, not these, but I have another bookshelf next to them, and those books are triple stacked. Just because I did it by genre, and I just need to get them off my floor. So yeah, completely agree with you. And the last one for this section is, I love to read acknowledgments first to get to know the author better. I know who wrote this, and I agree to some extent. It really depends on the book. So this made me think of Fable by Adrienne Young, and the person who wrote this actually told me I should read the acknowledgement because it said a lot about the author's father and how she got inspiration for writing the book. So it's actually something I think I'm going to start doing more often. All right, and the next section is all about Colleen Hoover. You guys have some strong opinions about that author. The first one is Colleen Hoover isn't romance, she's women's fiction. The next one is Colleen Hoover is not an author that calls my attention. Haven't read anything by her and probably never will. The next one is Colleen Hoover is way overhyped. There's actually 2 that say that. And then another person saying that they will never read Colleen Hoover. So as far as Colleen Hoover not being romance, valid. I feel like Colleen Hoover's books are all very emotional. A lot of them have to deal with trauma, and sometimes the romance takes a back seat. I still call them romances, but I can totally see where you're coming from. As far as Colleen Hoover being overhyped, yeah, a little bit. I feel like as soon as someone says they're interested in romance, a lot of people give Colleen Hoover recommendations. Personally, I love Colleen Hoover. I've loved every single book I've read by her except for her thrillers. I absolutely hate Verity. I'm filming my least favorite books according to Goodreads, and Verity will definitely be on this list, or on that list. But I enjoy Colleen Hoover, and if you have not read It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, please read it. It's so good. Before you pass judgment. And I actually put off reading Colleen Hoover for a really long time, just because I heard all of the negative things about the author, and then I read It Ends With Us, and that completely changed my mind. So give it a try before you pass judgment, but also, if you hate her, valid. Reading subjective. So, yeah. All right, guys. So, out of the 70 or so responses I got, more than half of them were related to Sarah J. Maas's works. So, we are just going to rapid fire through these. This is gonna get interesting because I have some very, very strong SJM opinions. So we will see. All right. So the first one is Farah is an awful main character in the first book of the ACOTAR series. I kind of agree, kind of don't agree. I love the entire series. I love all 3 books. I do think she gets stronger as a character as the series progresses. There were some things she did that I was like, what are you doing? But I don't know. I wouldn't say she was an awful main character. But I get where you're coming from. The next one is, I didn't like Crescent City book 1 and 2. Both should have been shorter, and the ending ruined it. I think you're talking about the ending for the second book. I disagree on that. I love the ending. Both books I feel like could have been shorter, but I'm really hoping some of the information she threw at us in book 2 ends up being relevant in the third book, because yeah, it was a lot. I really enjoyed Crescent City 1, especially the second half, but also both books are very info dumpy. So Crescent City is probably my least favorite series by Sarah J. Maas. I still absolutely love it. I'm going to read the next book, but it is my least favorite. Okay. The Throne of Glass series is actually better than ACOTAR. Disagree? Personally, for me, ACOTAR is just, it has my heart. But Throne of Glass is amazing. So totally subject to your own opinion, personal preference. I just prefer ACOTAR, but Throne of Glass is also really good. All right. This next one hurts. ACOWAR, or A Court of Wings and Ruin, was seriously disappointing, shockingly predictable. I disagree. I don't think it was predictable. I really liked it. I know ACOWAR gets a lot of hate. That High Lord scene where Rhysand and Tamlin are going at it over Farah, that scene is chef's kiss. I love that scene. And that's in ACOWAR. So I don't know. I didn't think it was that predictable. I liked it. All right. TOG series got a little convoluted and boring towards the end with too many POVs. So I'm the opposite. So I disagree with this. I hated the first 2 books in the TOG series, Throne of Glass series. I felt like the first 2 books were they read very YA. Selena Sarathian is just like super, I don't know. I found her really cringy to read. She was just very juvenile, very like egotistical, which makes sense for like how the series goes and her like slowly growing. But yeah, I almost DNF'd the Throne of Glass series. I did not like the first 2 books, but then by the end I was obsessed and absolutely loved it. All right, and I didn't mind the multi-POVs. I will say, when I was originally reading the series, I almost wanted to skip Manon's POVs, and then Manon ended up becoming one of my favorite characters. So, another person saying Throne of Glass is better than ACOTAR. Aylin's development through the series is just breathtaking, and I will ship Selena and K-Hole till I die. No. Disagree with that last sentence. I disagree with Selena and K-Hole. Nope, definitely disagree. I will say Aylin's development through the series is exceptional, and I loved seeing her. Like I said, I didn't like her in the very beginning, but it was amazing to see what she became by the end of that series. So I, once again, prefer ACOTAR, but Throne of Glass is it's an amazing series. All right, and this last one. I don't know where SJM stories are going anymore. I wish we could have gotten Azriel's story first. I agree. I want Azriel's story now. I feel like we're not supposed to know where her stories are going anymore. I feel like she's working towards something. I think she has it mapped out in her head. I really hope, and I want Azriel to be happy. If you read, this might be a slight spoiler, so if you haven't read the bonus scene at the end of A Court of Silver Flames, when he re-gifts a necklace to Gwyn, I didn't like that bonus scene. It seems like we might be going that way, so I really hope that doesn't happen. I am all about an Elaine having a like villain moment, totally on board for that, but I can't wait for Azriel's story. A lot of people are speculating that Azriel might have his story in the next Crescent City book. I don't know how that would work, so I'm very interested to see what happens. I want to know what she's going to do with Crescent City and everything going on, so it should be interesting. I love Sarah J. Maas's books. They're so good. They're my favorite fantasy romance. So yeah, so I kind of condensed it down for SJM. There was a lot of the same, like Throne of Glass is better, ACOTAR is better, yada yada. So if I didn't say your prediction, please, or your response, let me know in the comments and I will react to it in the comments. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love doing these kind of reaction stories. It's just really fun. So I said this already, I post new videos every Thursday and Sunday. And if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. I will see you all next week. Bye.